Let's now talk about some word problems with literal equations. All right, so the formula to compute a person's BMI, which is body mass index, is B equals 703 times W divided by H squared. All right, B represents the BMI, W represents the person's weight, H represents the person's height. Solve this equation for W. Okay, so I'll get B equals 703 W divided by H squared. All right, I'm going to simplify this a little bit. I'm just going to multiply. Remember, you can put 703 over 1. And I'm just going to multiply those two parts together. So I have 703W on top in the numerator, all over H squared in the denominator. Okay, our end goal, is to get the W by itself. So the first thing I'm going to get rid of is H squared. How am I going to get rid of H squared? What is it doing to the entire numerator? It's dividing. How do I undo division? I multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by H squared. So that's going to leave me with BH squared equals 703W. Now remember, our end goal is to get the W by itself. So what's the 703 doing to W? Multiplying. How do I undo multiplication? I divide. So W equals B times H squared on top, all over 703. All right, and the reason we do this, the reason that we solve literal equations with these word problem formulas is so that we can solve for parts. Like in part B, what is the weight of a person? So what is W of a person who is 64 inches tall? So that's going to be H equals 64, and has a BMI of 21.45. So B will equal 21.45. All right, so I'm going to take this equation that I just solved for. W equals B times H squared, all over 703. And I'm going to plug in what I know. I'm trying to solve for W. I know that the body mass index, or B, is 21.45. And I know that the height of the person is 64. And I square that all over 703. Okay? So now I use order of operations. Nothing to simplify inside parentheses. We have exponents, so 64 squared. So this is going to be W equals 21.45 times 4,096 all over 703. So now I'm going to multiply the top. And so I'll have 87,859.2 all over 703, divide by 703. The weight of that person is going to be around 124.98 pounds. Okay? So we can use that equation that we solved for in order to figure out what W is in an actual scenario. All right, so that's one application problem. We're going to skip these 4 you try nows for now. I'm going to go down and do another one with you. Okay? A car's fuel economy, E, miles per gallon, is given by this formula. E equals M divided by G. M is the number of miles driven. G is the number of gallons used. Solve the formula for G. So I've got E equals M divided by G. I'm trying to get the G by itself. Well, here's the issue. The G is in the denominator. So how do I get the G into the numerator? Well, one thing I could do is I could put E over 1 and I could cross multiply. If I cross multiply, I'm going to get G times E equals M times 1. And now the g's in the numerator, g's up top. There is no denominator anymore, which is great. But we got to get the g by itself. So what am I going to do? I'm going to divide both sides by e. All right, so g is going to equal m divided by e. All right, so that is one way that we can get a variable that's on the denominator into the numerator. We can cross multiply if it's a fraction equal to a fraction. All right, so we solve for g. Now we're going to use this equation. G equals m divided by e. All right, if Estancia drove 1,477 miles, so this is the number of miles that she has driven, her pickup truck has an average fuel consumption of 26 miles per gallon. This is the fuel's economy, E. About how many gallons did she use? That's my G. My G is my unknown. M is 1,477. E is 26. Gallons, we don't know, is G. So plug in what we know. G equals 1,477 divided by 26. So if I divide that in my calculator, I get G to be about 56.81 gallons. So if she drove 1,477 miles in this specific pickup, she used about 56.81 gallons. All right, so that's, again, another situation where we can solve a literal equation for a certain variable and then use that new equation to solve a certain situation. Okay, I'm going to scroll up so you can see these You Try Now problems. Try those out and then work on your practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions.